All right, welcome to Smokey Approved Korea. I'm your boy Jurnalist, and on this one, we are back for some more Boy City Magazine videos. This one is Do K-pop Concepts Even Make Sense? And I'm be keep it 100. Y'all will see me watch these videos. I don't be understanding a lot of the concepts, so hopefully she can give me a education on some of the themes that I might not even understand, and then also kind of break some down, and then also explain to me why some of them just don't make sense. So we're here for an education, and Boy is really good at what she does, and I'm just happy that she does what she does, so we have these videos to watch. That's pretty much it. So thank you to her. Thank you to anybody who's going to watch these videos with me. If you could, please hit that like, subscribe. Patreon is in the description, and let's get into this one. Let's see how this goes. Let's learn a thing. Let's learn.
There is a popular clip of Beyoncé that resurfaces on the internet every year because many say it reflects where the music industry is heading to.
People don't make albums anymore. They don't make albums. They just try to sell a bunch of little quick singles and they burn out and they put out a new one and they burn out and they put out a new one. People don't even listen to a body of work anymore. I think people are so brainwashed. You get up in the morning, you click on the computer, you see all these pictures and all you think of is the picture and the image that you see all day, every day. And you don't see the human form.
In a technical sense, artists do make albums still. They release a collection of songs under one name. What Beyoncé is referring to is the lack of bodies of work with a story, a message, or an intention. The artist needs to have something to say, and the album is how that something is delivered. But nowadays, artists put out single after single and then put them all together on an album that has no story, no intention, and no correlation between the songs. Because many popular albums today are not made with the intention to be a body of work, they don't have any concrete concept. So when we talk about music and albums, a concept is simply what an album is about. It's the theme. Concepts are a good thing in general because it gives a thesis statement to your album. Even if it's a very simple one, a concept is concrete. It has a message and a purpose. Now, a long time ago, I said that I wanted to make a video about concepts in K-pop, and some of the comments I received said something that caught my attention. BTS doesn't have concepts, they have messages. I still see comments like this to this day. I got this one only a couple of days ago. This made me think in how different the word concept is used in K-pop and in non-K-pop conversations. In K-pop, concept means something similar to what I just talked about, but it's not discussed in the same way. In K-pop, the word concept has been kind of diminished, and I argued that this has affected the artistic progress and ambitions of many K-pop singers. So to not confuse the two definitions, I will be using the words K-pop concept to refer to the K-pop definition and concept to refer to what Beyoncé talked about, the theme of a body of work.
Let's see.
Going back to Beyoncé, her latest album's concept would be country music. Not because the genre of the album is country, but because she has something to say about the history of country music. This album has the purpose of showcasing the limitations Black country artists go through despite the genre having African American roots. It's more than just the sound and the cowboy outfits. For example, in this album, Beyoncé made a cover of the Beatles song Blackbird. This is not originally a country song, but it still follows the album's concept because the Beatles wrote it about the racial tensions in the southern United States. Beyoncé's version features Black country artists, and in this context, this folk song by a white British band perfectly fits the album. It follows the concept. This is different to a country singer releasing a country album with the concept of, for example, the teenage perspective on relationships. The concept is not necessarily the aesthetics or the sound. When it comes to this country album, the concept is not country. The concept is something else. With that premise, I can identify multiple concepts throughout BTS's albums. The concept of their school trilogy is school. Not because they are wearing school uniforms, but because they are singing about the education system in South Korea, the pressure Korean students go through, and even how students experience romantic relationships.
I would say as somebody who, excuse me, when I got into the whole BTS thing, I was like, I'm skipping that shit. I'm man and not in school no more. I'm not about to listen to a bunch of niggas sing about school. However, I did my due diligence. I did listen to that shit, so don't kill me. However, in seeing that I now know the music and seeing her explain the concept like this, I'm like, they've done a very great job of executing that concept in those three albums, that you really do feel like they are trying and are speaking for a generation of kids that it just typically don't probably have anybody speaking for them. So in seeing that and getting to hear that music, you're like, hey, like, if I was a little nigga in Korea and this is music I had, it would make school a little bit easier. Is it the music for me is a Western black male? Shocker, not all of it, but do them niggas got some bangers on there? And then do I understand what they're doing with that concept and how that can further bleed into the music listening base? Fucking right. They fucking chef's kiss. They did a great job with that.
School is not just the aesthetic, it's the concept. A more recent example is their album B. The concept of this album is the pandemic. With each of these songs, from beginning to end, BTS tells their experiences and thoughts during the pandemic, how their lives changed, how they quarantined, their fears and frustrations, a sudden glimpse of hope, their new connection as a group, their new mindset as a group, their new connection with their fans, and finally, a happy, hopeful sentiment. There are a variety of sounds and a variety of visuals, but everything has to do with their pandemic experience. Another example is the concept of their Map of the Soul albums. The concept was based on the book Jung's Map of the Soul about Jungian psychology. In other words, the concept of BTS's Map of the Soul is one's persona, shadow, and ego. This brings out a bunch of different aesthetics and sounds, but the concept remains persona, shadow, and ego. You can apply this to every song of the album. Boy With Love's concept is persona or social mask, not pink or femininity. Those are the aesthetics. Black Swan's concept is shadow or inner fears, not the theater or contemporary dance. Those are the setting and the style of dance. On's concept is not, and I repeat, is not marching band. On's concept is ego or self-protection. As you can see, what K-pop fans recognize as the concept are the superficial elements, the colors, the makeup, the outfits, the setting. Outside of K-pop, all of these elements are important parts of the concept as well, but they have a motive. A good conceptual album, for example, would have a story or a message about having everything pink. The aesthetics are not pink for the sake of being pink, but when it comes to...
Wait, I don't think I covered this in no video, but I just found out Halsey was black. Like a month or so ago. I found out, I seen what that girl's daddy looked like. I was like, she's a black woman. Or she has African ancestry somewhere inside of her. And in a direct parent, not just like it's in a grandparent or some shit like that. And when I found that shit, I was like, God damn it. I would have no idea. None at all. And I don't think anybody told me in the comments. So when I seen it, I was just so fucking dumbstruck. I was like, really? Now, granted, she's white passing or not. She from America, so white passing or not, if she wanted to and has a affinity for her black side and the culture that comes alongside with that, we got a one-drop rule in America. Just seeing her real quick, I was just like, oh, shit. I forgot about Shorty.
Having everything pink. The aesthetics are not pink for the sake of being pink, but when it comes to K-pop concepts, the aesthetics represent the obvious. Pink is a romantic concept, and dark colors are a badass concept. There's usually nothing more to that. This is why I think it's hard for some armies to see self-love as a concept. But in my opinion, that is the concept of the Love Yourself trilogy. These albums explain a very detailed and well thought out description of the idea that to love someone else, you have to love yourself first. It's a simple message, but BTS's explanation is not. Each part and each song explains the journey to self-acceptance and self-love. From romance to heartbreak to the epiphany that you need to accept and love yourself first. This trilogy has everything a good concept could have. A story, a message, and the aesthetics that reflect the concept. But in an industry that does not treat concepts seriously, it's not surprising to see labels turn the love yourself concept into a K-pop concept. That means repeating the aesthetics and the title of the concept, without necessarily coming to that conclusion themselves. There's no real story to understand or message to analyze. The conversation by K-pop fans and even K-pop singers surrounding concepts is very interesting. For example, the first result when I search for K-pop concepts is this thread about concepts fans want to see more. And the one starting the conversation mentions the concept of social message. I can assure you that before BTS, no one recognized social message as a concept, but now it's a thing. Because BTS became globally popular with their Love Yourself trilogy, this became a popular K-pop concept. Now, a lot of Western listeners say that everyone sings about loving yourself, And this is not unique to BTS, and that is 100% correct. But because having a social message that the singer cares about expressing is not a common thing in K-pop, BTS's Love Yourself concept became a novelty. It became a new interesting aesthetic to replicate, especially since it gained attention in Western countries. It was only after BTS released their globally popular Love Yourself trilogy that K-pop groups suddenly all started singing about loving yourself. They even used the words love yourself in English, which they never did before, just so everyone could understand that they are following this specific BTS trend. After BTS finished their trilogy of Love Yourself albums, the Love Yourself K-pop concept died. The trend is over. Just like this example, many K-pop concepts come and go, but there is a list of concepts that every K-pop fan may recognize. Some that don't need explanation are the cute concept and the sexy concept. The girl crush or badass concept is the opposite of cute. It's considered more edgy and cooler. There's also
the girl crush concept. That should be having me in the headlock. I'd be like, God damn it. They know what they're doing. When they're doing that concept in K-pop, I'd be like, fucking right. Go ahead. Shorty's killing it.
Retro concept, which nods to the past, the teen crush concept, which is directed at teens, and the most recent revival of the Y2K concept, which nods to the early 2000s. As you can see, the approach to these K-pop concepts is related to what's visual, superficial, and obvious. Most, if not all, conversations by K-pop stans about concepts have to do with what they want to see, not what they want their favorite artists to address. I previously brought up the example of BTS's school concept because at that time, they were a powerless group and the easiest targets of harmful accusations. BTS were accused of copying the school concept of another group, when that group never released an actual school concept. BTS simply wore school uniforms like every other Korean group does at some point. The difference is that BTS's school uniforms were a reflection of their actual concept. BTS literally sang about the education system and being a student, while for most K-pop groups, the school uniforms are an outfit and the school is a setting, but they don't even mention school in their lyrics. They are doing the K-pop concept of school, not BTS's concept of school. K-pop concepts are more visual. Fans want to see their favorite K-pop group look like their high school crush, so they want to see them act cute in a school uniform. Fans want to see their favorite K-pop singers wear dark outfits while dancing a cool choreography, so they want to see the girl crush or badass concept. To realize this, you just need to look so they want to see.
That's the one right there. If you watch the channel, you know which I'm talking about. That's the badass girl concept where I seen Wasa. I was like, who is Shorty? Like, what's going on in this group?
Want to see the girl crush or badass concept. To realize this, you just need to look at the way K-pop fans talk about concepts. In this same thread, it was mentioned that they wanted to see more the concept of nightlife because one girl group did it and they liked it. But that song has nothing to do with nightlife. Nightlife is just the setting for the music video. That is not a concept, it's an aesthetic. This is my point. K-pop fans tend to not take K-pop concepts seriously because there's an extensive record of no real connection, message, or story with most of these songs. So it obviously became common to not look for a real concept because there is usually none. In the K-pop world, concepts mean something else. The word and its implications have been simplified. When asked what concept they want to see more, K-pop fans think about the type of outfits a group has not worn before. They think about the persona a group has not performed as yet. If a group has been acting cute for too long, fans want to see them look and act badass or sexy for once. When the question is, what is a K-pop group concept you'd like to see done? One answer says, whatever this boy group was doing with those medieval robes. That is not a concept, but I guess in K-pop it is. Either there's no message or K-pop fans don't care when there's actually one. When the conversation is about concepts that K-pop groups fans...
I could get away with just robes? Oh, fuck. For at least being able to speak visually, she's strengthening my ability to speak to the director, because now I could explain the cuss like, yo, I want to wear this kind of shit, but that's the concept visually. That's just like the aesthetic, but like the song has a particular message, and that message might not have anything to do with the visual elements of the video, at least how she's explaining it from a K-pop side of it. But in having to work as a person who I don't feel like I'm that strong when it comes to helping my video directors come with the visuals, because I tend to like to work with people that can handle that themselves, because I do the audio, bro. I'm not a visual guy. I don't really care about that element of it. I know it's important, but I know there's people better suited for it. But watching this and understanding there's two very vast ways how people are using this word and how I can better explain my concept, because sometimes I am speaking to them like a K-pop fan that misuses the word concept and is only speaking to the visual element, and they're trying to get me to give them the actual song concept and what's that about, so they can come up with a concept of the visual aesthetic of the video. And that's probably where a lot of times things might break down for me. So seeing this is quite helpful. But I didn't know I could just get away with fucking robes. Sometimes you overthink some shit.
Don't care when there's actually one. When the conversation is about concepts that K-pop groups have not tried yet, someone comments, "My dream girl group would be one where each member is a fantasy race. Elf, fairy, mermaid, demon, vampire. Could be like an enchanted forest vibe or something darker like a cursed forest. This may be an interesting idea, but what would be the actual concept of that aesthetic? If a singer came up with a story that brings out those looks, that would be cool. But that is not the conversation. This conversation is about those looks."
Is the song these niggas have a Jesus Christ Noah's Ark concept with this fucking, how he's laying right here, the giraffe, all that shit? What song is that?
That would be cool. But that is not the conversation. This conversation is about the outfits and makeup they want to see a K-pop group wear. The visuals are first, the sound second, and the story is not even mentioned. But concepts are about the message or story first. This is what brings out the aesthetics. What used to be a very popular K-pop concept was the weird concept. Now K-pop fans miss it and want to see it again. But what they want is the singer wearing weird outfits in a weird setting, singing to a weird tune. That's usually the entire conversation. This is different to how non-K-pop fandoms talk about the artist doing weird concepts. For example, music listeners refer to Rosalia's Motomami, most of Charli XCX's discography, and Camila Cabello's recent rebrand during conversations about artists doing weird concepts. But these examples are all stories that present themselves in a weird way. Again, the artist's thoughts, their personalities, their ideas, and the stories they want to tell.
I would say the weird concept is what got me into BB, because she had that Perfect Lover. That was a weird, like, digital vaporwave Y2K kind of vibe that was like 2-3 years ahead of his time. BB was a fucking show. BB don't get enough respect. She be doing a lot.
Lead the aesthetic. There is a thought process behind these projects. Yes, the aesthetics are a part of the concept, but that's only one part. Actually, there's a huge conversation about Camila Cabello doing this concept genuinely or not. Many argue she's just following a trendy aesthetic. These are the types of debate.
This is why I fuck with Shorty. That was something that I have actually, in offline shit that I do, I'd be paying attention to the pop world and stuff like that. And that was something that when Camila did do this rebrand, folks was not like, she kind of biting Charli thing a little bit, or she's kind of just like, that's not really her wave or bag, what she's doing right now. Like, weird concept is not what Camila does, and she had the Havana record. So I really like the fact that in making her point, she's so clued up on the shit she's talking about that even the small kind of like auxiliary conversations around artists that may not be even her favorite are ones that she's still knowledgeable about to use as a point to kind of strengthen the point that she's already making. I appreciate her due diligence in her research
surrounding concepts. But when it comes to K-pop concepts, this conversation most likely wouldn't take place. I believe most of these fan conversations are a reflection of how K-pop singers treat their own concepts. It's very rare to see K-pop groups explaining the concept of their albums because there is usually nothing to explain, or they are so detached from their own projects that they don't even know what they're singing about.
Tell me the story behind the record.
I guess it's like, it goes for like whatever, like the listener. If you decide to hear it this way, it could be that this way, and if you kind of change the story up, it could be whatever you can put your mind to it.
Are you embodying somebody else's words? Are you adding your own words to it?
We're
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like our producer
You work with them
gets
on
to
it.
get the best.
We would sit in the couch in the back and you would just be inspired.
Yeah.
By this phone on the computer.
Yeah.
Any of you guys try to produce your own music, write your own records?
So far, we've kind of gone with what our producer really prepares for us.
Yeah, because as I was watching it, it feels like I was watching a hit piece. It felt like a hit piece. Like, I caught these girls out. And it's definitely not coming from that angle. But it feels that way when the artist is typically so connected to the music that they can explain the concept. But when you interview somebody with such a high visual concept and then they can't tell you what the lyrical concept of the song is, it seems like there begins this great divide between the artist and the music that they make. And that seems to be an issue, and it doesn't look well on camera for the artist that we're all trying to fall in love with. So yeah, that's good on that interviewer, but like also that maybe you shouldn't have stopped doing that, because then you're gonna fuck your career up, because K-pop people are gonna stop coming to you. But then maybe we could influence within the K-pop industry more of the adherence that you should have some influence or work in the music that you're creating, so you can actually be a little bit more connected to the shit that you say, which would definitely make the records better. At least how I feel. That's just me.
Whether it's a complicated or simple concept, the artist should be able to explain what they mean by what they are singing. Even if the concept is having fun, the artist should have concrete experiences, examples, and reasons why they came up with that having fun concept. And even if you don't create your own concept, you're supposed to identify with it, or at least give it your own color, your point of view, anything. Sometimes artists find a demo they identify with and works perfect on them. But if you don't even have that choice, of course I'm going to notice how detached you are from your own music. This is why when K-pop singers are actually connected to their songs, they are not scared to explain. They are excited to talk about their concepts. You can easily tell when this is the case.
He made that song, Aura.
I made it.
We can't be confident about that because I think, in K-pop, there are hardly, female songwriter can write their songs by themselves. And we have three of us, we can write songs by ourselves. We can, express like what we want to say. We want the message that we really want to deliver to the audience. So I think it's a really good point.
This K-pop singer, for example, made a video rating her own discography. And I find it interesting that the only project she gave a 10 out of 10 was the concept she and her group members came up with, while her least favorite concepts were the ones given to them.
Helicopter, a 10 out of 10. Concept great, the best one so far, because we were the one who thought of the concept.
The artist's connection or lack
Shots
of
fired.
connection to their work is noticeable. So if most K-pop groups are this detached from their music, how can K-pop fans care? Fans talk about what they notice. If they notice visuals but no message or interest from the singer, then they'll focus on visuals only. Compare this to the way BTS talks non-stop about their work. Even when there were not many people listening, Suga made detailed explanations of each song of each album released. Now BTS does more elaborate documentaries or multi-part series about the creation and concept of their albums. BTS were also the first K-pop artists interviewed by the Grammy Museum, and the interviewer asked them about their conceptual albums. Since these concepts are so personal to BTS, they could give concrete explanations of how the concepts of their albums reflect their personal lives. I remember watching the interviews when BTS first entered the American music industry.
Whoever that boy is that called in that radio station that day and asked them niggas was they gonna have any music coming out in English, I know that nigga is happy now. We got a bunch of shit with these niggas in English, way more than he probably expected that they would ever give us. And they are still giving us more shit that has English in it. I'm not saying I want the full adherence of like switching over to English, because I don't give a fuck. Sing in your natural tongue, I don't care. Just make sure the record bangs. That's what they do already. So it's just funny, one, the look bro had on his face when he got asked that question. And then to see just how the natural progression of just shut the fuck up and let me make my art. You'll get what you're looking for, but like, shut up and just let me make my shit. I like that.
Watching the interviews when BTS first entered the American music industry. Most interviews were superficial and generic, because that's how most interviews are. But when they were asked about their albums, they would get so excited, especially when the interviewer cared BTS would talk non-stop about their songs. Sometimes they talked so much that they had to cut the interviews short.
그런 것들에 대해서 좀 많이 배우는 것 같아요.
You know Zach.
모르겠다 이거.
사람. So it sounds really similar. So I mean, like,
I'm getting wrapped up. I could talk to you guys for so much longer. I'm very aware. You don't need to scream.
K-pop performers cannot always do the same because their music does not always reflect who they are, what they think, or even what they like. As many K-pop singers now admit, it's very common for them to not like their own concepts because they have no creative control over their own music.
Look, step in the place and they yell, go figure. Watch, I'ma go all out for my hitter.
Although the conversation surrounding concepts has improved a little in recent years, the K-pop industry and fans continue celebrating the same 5 popular K-pop concepts. The conversation by K-pop performers and fans continues being this simplistic. So it's not a surprise that although BTS gave a lot of visibility to the entire K-pop industry, the general public simply cannot get attached. It's too much of the same again and again. This is why I believe it all starts with the reaction of K-pop fandoms. BTS took their own concepts very seriously from the very beginning, so ARMY took BTS's concepts seriously too. ARMY sometimes wonders about what kind of aesthetics BTS is doing next, but most times ARMY debates about their next message or story, about their next real concept. What are they thinking right now? What are they experiencing as art?
That's what that nigga should have named that album. That's what, for real. Right place, wrong person. That's for sure what the fuck that nigga should have named that album. Inside Namjoon's brain. Boy, that's an apt motherfucking description.
Artists and as normal people, or even what are they reading or watching in media. Jimin, for example, came up with the concept for Like Crazy after watching the movie Like Crazy. So he sings about a fictional love story, but he understands and is somehow connected to this story, even if he didn't live it exactly as portrayed. The BTS members are not always their own stylists. They are not always their own music directors, but they do come up or identify with their artistic concepts. Suga had an accident that changed his entire life and created the most heartbreaking alter ego story. RM saw a leaf fall and then wrote South Korea's second anthem. Those are the concepts I care about. BTS knows what they want to say, they compose what they want to say, and they perform what they want to say. Even when it's a coping mechanism like Dynamite, it's their coping mechanism. It's their distraction to the world. They know why they are releasing their songs, and they have no problem explaining why they are releasing their songs. If it's a very meaningful and complicated concept, they explain it wholeheartedly. If it's a concept just for fun, they say it's just for fun. There's no shame in their explanation because they know the exact reasons why they release what they release. Those are well done, purposeful concepts. K-pop concepts can be so pretty to look at and fun to recreate, but there's nothing else worth analyzing behind that. Like I said, this is okay sometimes. I love listening to fun, meaningless music as well, but I do find this practice a disservice to the talented performers who, after training for years, may want to be taken seriously someday. When concepts are more about an aesthetic than having a theme with a genuine message, it will be harder to connect with music listeners. But it all starts with liking your own music first, so you can stop being so scared to talk about it. BTS never avoided explaining their concepts, and the excitement of their explanations made their audience follow their lead. I hope other artists in the industry do as well.
All right, another banging video from Bora. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was not the... Well, I guess, yeah, it did explain a lot of the concepts that I watch a video and I'm like, the fuck is going on here? Because, like, I'm not a visual guy. But now, yeah, she did explain those concepts. Now I'd be like, oh, this is a cutesy concept. This is a sexy concept. But I now know that the concept of the visual, if I'm watching a K-pop thing, it's always going to not have a connection to the lyrics or the concept of the song. But in current times, predominantly, that might be the dynamic. Excuse me. But that was really educational for myself and very helpful for me because now when I watch certain videos, I won't just be like, the fuck am I watching? What are they doing? They spend money on this shit. Now it makes so much more sense what I'm watching. So, yeah, thank you very much, Bora. Thank you to anybody who watches this with me. yeah, let me know what your favorite K-pop concepts are, which ones you'd like to see people do as far as a song or an actual visual. And then, yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you guys very much for joining me. Please hit that like, subscribe, Patreon's in the description. And I'm out of here. Peace.